Architecture CodeX. If you want to see more, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe.
A college friend of mine once accused me of becoming an architect just so that I could become famous. I said, "Oh really? Name 2 architects." He could not. I mentioned in Architecture Codex video number 24, the one on falling water, that Frank Lloyd Wright was unique among architects in that he became a worldwide celebrity, known to a lot of people who were otherwise not interested in architecture. And yes, there have been other breakthrough architects in their time, people such as Mies van der Rohe, I.M. Pei, Michael Graves, Frank Gehry, but none of them have really endured in the public psyche as a famous architect. They had their decade, and then they were soon forgotten by everyone outside of the design world. I personally have underestimated the power of celebrity, at least enough of it, in order to get particularly nice commissions. I recall another college conversation with a friend discussing rather naively how I'd rather be good than famous. You know, she used that quote in her first novel, the one that made her famous. And yet, it surprised me that architect Helmut Jahn did not break through into general notoriety. His work and his personality seemed custom-made for media. German-born, with just enough of an accent to sound intellectual, he was also handsome, with long hair, dressed flamboyantly in Italian suits, and was seen around the world skiing and scuba diving. His presence in the Chicago region is unmatched. His architectural portfolio is exemplar, but the average person around the world still would not recognize his face or his name. In the 1960s, he emigrated to the United States on a Rotary Club scholarship, landing at IIT and studying the works of Mies van der Rohe. His career took off immediately. He became an employee and then soon a partner in the firm of C.F. Murphy. By 1979, the firm's name was changed to Murphy Jahn. Perhaps his most famous work remains the James R. Thompson Center, once known as the State of Illinois Center, in Chicago's Loop. It was controversial when it was opened, and it remains one of his most disputed works to this day. The building sits on the downtown Chicago site, resisting the urge to fill the rectangular block. Rather, like a New York pizza slice, it is wedge-shaped and not square-cut, like Chicago-style pizza. And the impressive atrium gently and seductively curves away from the southeast corner of the site, but ends abruptly on the north and west facades. Many call it postmodern, but I think that is a default name simply because it came after modern and was not pure modern. And it is probably better described by the short-lived term high-tech, like the Pompidou Center, built in Paris a few years earlier, when the building parts were deconstructed and celebrated in form and color. High-tech was less interested in pure Bauhaus geometry and non-materiality. It was more comfortable with having the parts of the building be honest about who they are. The Thompson's main physical feature is the huge entry atrium. From inside, visitors can see all 17 stories of the building. I read a lot about how this new openness was supposed to be a metaphor for a new era of transparent government and politics in Illinois and Chicago. Really? No wonder this building was doomed from the start. The atrium, a hollow interior space, was one of the things being explored in this era. They were perhaps made famous by architect-developer John Portman, whose hotels featured a large atrium with elevators that were visible going up and down. There are some architecture critics who compare the atrium form as the female opposite of the tower form. Cavity as opposed to elongated solidity. Uterus versus phallus. Like a Greek tragedy, that which makes us great also destroys us. The Thompson Center atrium space is sheathed in a curved glass wall, identifiable from the exterior and the interior. It is the glory of the building. But during its construction, to save money, a beam counter value engineered away the double-layer insulating glass that Helmut Jahn wanted to put on the exterior. Instead, they installed single-pane glass, which should have been an obvious error in 1986. Consequently, the space is very expensive to heat and very expensive to cool, and there are days in the summer where it just gets too hot and days in the winter where it just gets too cold. The acoustics are bad too. That curved wall reflects a lot of noise back into the offices, and if your desk was near one of the operating exposed elevators, you heard that noise so loudly you could not talk on the phone.
Aromas from the food court would waft up into the offices, becoming a major distraction.
There are also reports that basic building maintenance was not performed, perhaps the usual kind of government neglect. Regardless, a building like this, capriciously designed, might require a little more love and money given without measure, like a kept mistress, rather than the cold indifference of government. The state of Illinois has put the building up for sale, claiming it needs $325 million worth of repairs. Well, that'll help sell it. And the bill allowing for the sale put before the governor requires the buyer to preserve the name Governor James R. Thompson Building rather than preserve the building designed by Helmut Jahn itself. The Chicago Architecture Center held a competition to get ideas that would allow development of the site for economic viability, but preserve the essential elements of the original building. The suggestions seemed more fantasy than real world. One was to repurpose it as a water park. So there is a lot of hope that something can be done to save the state of Illinois building as it is, and the story is not yet over. Perhaps this is merely a case of the worst aspects of government meeting the worst aspects of eccentric design, having produced such a glorious folly. Whatever the fate of the state of Illinois building, Helmut Jahn's architectural legacy will be enduring, as he has many other buildings in his portfolio. I was first introduced to his work at St. Mary's College. In 1977, they opened the Angela Athletic Center. This was a simple and elegant building that logically spanned the big interior sports spaces with exposed trusses. The main floor was sunk below the ground level, so you entered above at the running track level. This meant the clean metal modern facade kept a low profile in deference to the surrounding buildings, but it also reduced the heating and cooling loads by leveraging the geothermal insulation qualities of the earth. Like other high-tech buildings, it was comfortable being metal and glass. In 2014, it suffered a major expansion and reconstruction. Once again, if Helmut Jahn had been more famous, the new expansion might not have been so ready to tread on his genius. There are a lot more Helmut Jahn buildings, and perhaps with his passing in 2021, more attention and more respect will be given to them. Unlike some of today's starchitects, his work never turned into cliché imitations of his branded style. Whenever I see one of his buildings, I am first struck by their grace. They often achieve simplicity without being boring. They are truthful, bold, and entrancing. They stand with enough confidence that they don't have to show off. They are elegant, and they know it. I would often be seduced by one of them, only to find out later it was a Helmut Jahn design. To that end, I think Helmut Jahn has achieved what all architects aspire to design beauty that not only speaks of its timely youth, but also ages adroitly. And so, if the state of Illinois building was more architectural seduction than architectural virtue, I am okay with an occasional fling from an otherwise honorable architect. I am Michael Molinelli, and this is Architecture CodeX.